Welcome to Balkans Debrief. I'm Ilva Tare with the Atlantic Council's Europe Center. Today, we turn our attention to Kosovo, where months of political deadlock have left the country without a functioning parliament, without a budget, and without a clear path forward. President Vjosa Osmani has once again called on parties to form a government, but a majority remains elusive. So, where does Kosovo go from here? Could Vetëvendosjes Klan Kosova manage to form a new government with Albin Kurti potentially shifting into the role of foreign minister? And could the Sunday's local election results, with LDK keeping capital Pristina and Vetëvendosje securing Mitrovica, hint at what's ahead if early parliamentary elections are called? Joining me to break it all down is Adriatik Kelmendi, analyst and host of Rubikon on Klan Kosova. Adriatik, welcome.
A pleasure, Ilva. Thank you.
Let's start with the big picture. For viewers here in Washington, D.C., or in Brussels or Berlin, who might not follow Kosovo's daily political chessboard, why does this stalemate matter?
Well, we hope that it will not be alive still, because just yesterday it's been 9 months since the last parliament elections, and we still do not have a functioning government. So we are still having a government in place based on the results of previous elections almost 5 years ago. So, and there are a couple of layers of complications. It's really hard for someone to understand since we just went out of local elections. The second round of local elections was just yesterday. So we had numbers out of the national elections since February 9 that didn't provide any single political subject to form a government. And the ruling Vetëvendosje won 42%, which translates to 48 MPs, short 13 to form a government, which requires 61 of the votes. So we have seen an episode of not being able to have the Speaker of the Parliament first. It's been more than 50 times that they tried to secure a majority for the Speaker of the Parliament first to open the door for the government. Finally, it was voted in the early September, but we are now in November 10th, and we still do not have a functioning government. To complicate things more, as I mentioned, we had first round and second round of local elections. So I believe all the political parties didn't want to make any step in the direction of forming a national government because they were trying to calculate how it will translate in the results of local elections. So since now we are beyond local elections, maybe one part of the complication is gone, but I don't think that we are going to see soon a new government as the things stand now. You mentioned that now we have a candidate to form a government, which is Klan Kosova, and it has been now 6 days, and he has 15 in total to form a new government. But he is the second prime minister designate after Albin Kurti, the ruling prime minister, failed to secure votes 3 weeks ago in the parliament. So they went to President Osmani. She gave another chance to the ruling Vetëvendosje, and now we have former Speaker of the Parliament, Klan Kosova, trying to form a new government.
Now, why are the political actors still gridlocked? Is it because Albin Kurti and Vetëvendosje does not secure a majority to get the government formed and approved? And is there any chance that Kosova may have some votes from the opposition parties? What are the scenarios, Adriatik?
It's really hard for Kosova to secure the votes from the opposition parties. As I mentioned, even for the Speaker of the Parliament, they couldn't secure votes unless they reached an agreement to have one MP voted, which was seen as a compromise by some members of the opposition. But Albin Kurti himself got only 56 votes, and he tried to get a coalition government or to get some MPs from the opposition parties to vote for his government. So Albin Kurti was the first choice of Vetvendosi, of course. And with Vjosa, I think they are trying more to buy time, because I don't see how anyone who didn't vote for Albin Kurti will now vote for Vjosa, since actually even Vjosa and Kurti themselves, they said, okay, we have a new candidate, but we do not want to form a coalition with opposition parties. So this should be an interim government until the next deadline, but we have to vote for the president of the country. So let's remember in March next year, we need to have a vote at the assembly to vote for the new president of Kosovo, since the sitting president, Vjosa Osmani, will end her 5-year term. So this, again, will need not only the simple majority at the parliament. To vote for president of Kosovo, there is a need to have 2/3 majority in the parliament. And as things stand now, no one can secure a single majority, and we cannot think that something will change to have 2/3 majority to vote for the president. If new president will not be voted, again, we will need to dismantle the assembly and to go to new elections.
How much time does Kosovo has to form a government, to find a compromise?
Well, actually, until the end of this week, because it's 15 days, and he will try to reach an agreement, if he can, with individual MP. But what we have seen so far, he is not trying that much. So the impression is that Vetvendosi was only trying to get more time in order to be prepared after the local elections that have just passed for new national elections. So
now, does the president have the right to call another party from the opposition to mandate as prime minister designate?
Well, the second time, someone else can get the mandate. But the opposition parties at the meeting with the president, they said to her they are not interested to form a new government, and that they want new parliamentary elections. But Vetvendosi said they will name Klan as their new candidate and wait for this 15 days timeline to try and form a new government. So basically, the situation is that we are just waiting for this 15-day timeline to pass, and then the president will not have any more right to give the mandate to anyone else, because according to Kosovo constitution, only two persons, MPs, can get a mandate to form a government based on the election results, and then the parliament will be dissolved, and new elections, according to the constitution, should be called not less than 30 days and not more than 45 days after the dissolvement of the government, of the parliament.
So if you were to bet, I know in our profession it's not good to bet, but if you were to bet, what would be the next step from President Osmani? Calling anticipated parliamentary elections in December, January?
First, I would be surprised if Kosovo will be able to get the votes for the government. So practically, we're going to see the end of this term, and then it's up to President Osmani to call again the political parties and to talk about the possible election date. So probably, as I said, 30 to 45 days after the dissolvement of the parliament. It could be by the end of this year, so the end of December.
Another winter elections in Kosovo. Now, let's turn to the local elections on Sunday. The results were telling, I would say. LDK held capital Pristina, while Vetvendosi took Mitrovica, near the border with Serbia. What do these results reveal about the voters' sentiment and the political pulse across Kosovo's urban and northern regions, Adriatik?
Well, what we can say is that no one has majority in local elections, but this was, of course, the victory for opposition parties, because out of 38 municipalities, Vedvendosya won only 7, and those are not the most important municipalities. They lost in Pristina with a small margin, but again, they lost. It was around 2%. And LDK, opposition party, won Pristina. They've been ruling Pristina even in the last mandate. So the current mayor secured another term. Also,
What was
out
the
of
role of
7,
PDK in the LDK's victory and Purpurim Ramas, the mayor?
well, according to the results, it didn't help much because they had a narrow, wider difference in the first round, and this time it was really narrow. So I believe PDK voters voted for LDK, for the current mayor, and also for the candidate of Vedvendosya. But in the end, it was around 2,500 votes that made the current mayor from LDK again the winner. But out of 7 big municipalities in Kosovo, Vedvendosya won only one, which is Gilan, that they actually even had before. And they won also another one, which is Mitrovica South, which was held by PDK before. But they failed to win, as we mentioned, the capital Pristina, Peja, Zakova, Prizren, and Ferizaj. All these municipalities are in the hands of the opposition, as if we consider opposition in the national level. Also, we have to mention that Serbian List won in all 10
All the majority is Serbs, yeah.
Serb majority municipalities. So with numbers, they are the biggest winner of these elections. Then you have 7 municipalities, 1 by LDK, 7 by Vedvendosya, 6 by PDK, 1 with the candidate who is actually from PDK, but was competing against his party, and again, after he won, says that he's PDK, is Granas. And then you have Nisma, Social Democrate, 1 municipality, and also Turk Party, 1 municipality. So actually, if you look at the map of Kosovo, it's full of colors. You have like 8 different colors in those 38 municipalities.
So, Adriatik, from what you're telling us and the mosaic that you're painting, looks like even the parliamentary elections are held by the end of this year or early next year. There will not be much change when it comes to the political forces in the results that they will get. Why going into the election then? Is there any way to break this deadlock?
This is the question that we are asking over and over again. And not only 1 elections, we are risking to go into 2 elections in the row, national elections, in the course of like 5 months. Because just hear me. So if we're going to go to the new election in December, and no one will have not only the majority to form the government, but also to vote for the president, to have a coalition, an agreement, to have 2/3 for the president. We will try to have a government, maybe even succeed to form a government. But if we fail to vote for the new president, then we will need to go again to new elections. So this is the worst scenario that we can see. Of course, if we go to new elections, I don't expect to have major differences between political parties. My expectations are that Vedvendosya, Albin Kurti's party, will fall a little bit, but not as much as to leave the opposition parties in peace to form without any problems a new government. We, of course, have to wait and see, but even if the opposition can form a new government, then is this issue of 2/3 for the president, which gets things again complicated. So we need to see compromise from both sides if we're going to see only one and national elections soon. If not, it's really pity that we can see Kosovo going again in 2 rounds of elections with not much expectation by anyone.
Adriatik, but meanwhile, beyond this political drama, there is a looming fiscal crisis. Is there any temporary mechanism to keep the government functioning and approve the budget?
Actually not. But Vjosa proposed that they can draft a project budget and send it to the assembly. But the assembly, as it is now, has only the mandate to vote for the government and not to start working in other issues. So before voting for a new government, which is out of the elections that we held in February, there cannot be a new budget because the mandate of the acting government is coming from the previous elections. So there's really a stalemate. Of course, by law in Kosovo, there can be the actual budget can be used until 31st of March, and then it can get only 1% for wages and other expenses, but not for major investment. So we are going towards an uncertain situation. So hopefully we're going to see a solution to have a new government. If the opposition parties will not, as we discussed, support new government, interim government from Mr. Konjuca, then it's really necessary to go faster into new elections and then try to form a government that can vote for the new budget and for the things to continue working. Otherwise, it's really a scenario that will need to have a big analysis how things will develop.
Adriatik, finally, as always, especially in the Balkans, there is always some diplomatic whispering in the air. What are you hearing behind the scenes? Could some quiet diplomacy from international partners help unlock a deal or find a solution?
Actually, we are quite surprised that like diplomatic circles, as we call them, were not so active. I believe that it's a transition period even for the Quint states. We know they have the new administration in the US. We also see the problems or the transitions that are going on in France, for example. UK, Germany just had a new government. So things like stars are not as they should be around Kosovo. So before we said, well, when will the time come for ambassadors, foreign diplomats not to intervene in local issues? Now we are asking for their help to be more involved because maybe they can find the common ground and bring all the parties into one table to discuss more seriously the issues. But so far, we are not seeing that.
Thank you for helping us understand a little bit more, Adriatik, about what's happening in Kosovo's political story that is still being written. Indeed, the resolution of this crisis will test Kosovo's democracy resilience and the ability for its leader to put governance above the gridlock. Adriatik, thank you so much for your insights and perspective. This has been Balkan Debrief with me, Ilva Tare. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Always a pleasure.